Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our chats with Emily as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We turn now to a little poem in the Johnson edition, 329. So glad we are a stranger deem. Notice a stranger would deem, that is to say, would decide. Now, this is another poem sent to Sam Boyles. In fact, the next three poems will fall into this category. While Boyles is traveling in Europe from April to mid-November of 1862. Emily herself did not travel much, but she loved to talk to people and with people who did travel. And Emily, while they were traveling, would often write to them. And one of the concerns, and this is true of a number of people who she was writing with, one of her main concerns is, when are you going to come back? When am I going to see you again? Now, our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily, our playlist. I'm hopeful that you've already worked through our set of introductory comments where we comment on Sam Boyles and the importance of Sam Boyles in Emily's life. And as well, I'm hopeful that you've already read the preceding 328 poems. If you have, we just finished with 328, A Bird Came Down the Walk. You know that Emily loves to play this game with language, and we're going to see this here. And philosophically, she loves to ask the question of grief and joy, as she will call it here in this poem. Obviously, it's the theodicy question. Why must there be pain and grief? And is it possible to actually have joy without pain and grief? She'll say it this way. So glad we are, a stranger deem, 'twas sorry that we were. For where the holiday should be, there publishes a tear. Nor how ourselves be justified, since grief and joy are done so similar, an optazon could not decide between. Yes, Emily invented optazon, and of course here we're talking a made word, if you will, a neologism, and it means one skilled, obviously, in the art or science of optics, right? In other words, we're back to this whole notion of seeing again. Now, the we here, this speculation, of course, would be Sam Boyles, since she sent this to him. So glad we are a stranger deem. In other words, looking at it from the outside, a stranger would imagine that we are happy with the way things are going. 'Twas sorry that we were. Oh, now all of a sudden we move from glad to sorrow, right? For where the holiday should be, again, Boyles in Europe and traveling, there publishes a tear. In other words, this is her code language, playing with the language, to say, I know you're having a great time, but I am missing you, and I'm wondering when I am going to see you. Nor how ourselves, notice we go from we to ourselves, be justified. How do we think about the relationship that we have? Since grief and joy are done so similar. An optazon, someone who had the capacity to see, could not decide between. Now, this is a really fascinating little poem that suggests, for 2A, a message. Grief and joy are very close together. In fact, it's very hard for you to imagine a time when you were happy, but that happiness did not come along with some kind of sorrow or grief. At 2B, well, I love the playing language. I love that she invents words like optazon. This is fun. At 3A, well, let's go to Shelley's Skylark in our study. We've given full lectures at learnstrong.net. But do you remember that powerful line in Shelley's Skylark? We look before and after and pine for what is not. Our sincerest laughter with some pain is fraught. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought. It's so true, isn't it? It is amazing that in the life of Emily Dickinson, she had so much joy, but so much grief. You could make the argument that the grief led to the joy. Finally, at 2B, for yourself to own a poem like this. When was a time when you couldn't really distinguish between grief and joy? They somehow came together to challenge you. Thank you.